let's talk about God of War 6, or whatever the next main God of War ends up being called. For now, it's definitely God of War 6. If you're like me, you're probably wondering, or you've been wondering, what's next for Kratos? Ever since finishing God of War Ragnarok, we want to know where we're going. Now, we're now a few years out from the Norse Saga finale, and we have some ideas, but nothing confirmed. There's even there's credible talk that we could be taking Kratos to ancient Egypt. That's the most popular one. We've talked about it multiple times on the channel. I mean, Egyptian gods, the Egyptian pantheon versus Kratos. I'm down. On top of that, there might be another God of War project in the works as well, which we'll talk about some more in a minute. So today, I want to break down everything we actually know so far, the real news, the verified leaks, and also get into what's unknown and where this series could actually be heading. I'm not going to try to hype you guys up. I'm just going to share with you everything I have. So by the end of this, I think we'll have a clear picture of the state of God of War's future without all the, let's just say, the fluff. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Remember, I read every single comment on every single video. I need to know, do you want Atreus to have a bigger role? Do you want there to be an option where you can play as Kratos or play as his son? I'm really curious. And I know the rumor of him getting a standalone spin-off game, but I don't think that one's happening. Now, let's set the stage. God of War Ragnarok, 2018 sequel, wrapped up Kratos' Norse mythology arc in 2022. I mean, effectively concluded the storyline, right? In fact, the developers opted to finish the Norse saga in 2 games instead of a trilogy, which I think neatly tied up a lot of loose threads. Kratos' journey through Midgard and beyond ended on a note of closure. I would say even growth for our favorite Spartan. And, I mean, Atreus went off on his own adventure at the end of Ragnarok, and Kratos was left contemplating a new role as a better kind of god. There's that shrine hinting he becomes a revered god of hope figure as well. All of this left fans immediately asking, what's next? It's a big question, because God of War is one of PlayStation's flagship franchises. Sony isn't just going to abandon it. The series has massive popularity and critical acclaim, especially after the successful reboot formula of God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. So naturally, another game is coming. Now, we don't have any official announcement yet. As of now, Sony Santa Monica is keeping quiet. But the clues are starting to pile up. In fact, some recent job listings from Santa Monica Studio basically gave away that they're working on a new God of War title back early in 2025. Santa Monica posted positions for a quest designer and a narrative designer on a new unannounced title, and the kicker was they specifically wanted applicants familiar with God of War games. What could that be, right? I mean, that's about as close to confirmation as you get without them outright saying, hey, come work for us. We're making God of War 6. So why does that matter now? Because the franchise, it's at a crossroads. The Norse storyline is done. The studio has to decide Kratos' next path. I mean, we're in that lull period where fans, they want to know. They're eager for any hint of the future. It's also worth noting that 2025 marks the 20th anniversary of the original God of War, which had a lot of people speculating we could hear news or something to celebrate that occasion, right? Well, Santa Monica did release a small anniversary update, had the limited edition DualSense controller, all that good stuff, but no new big game announcement. Didn't drop in March of 2025. They even told fans not to expect another major anything around the anniversary. Squashed all the rumors of an imminent reveal. In other words, studio's taking its time. It's cooking. It's not in a hurry. It's taking the Rockstar approach, which I can see. I like it. I can get behind that. Now, meanwhile, there's been some false starts and side projects in the God of War universe too. We've talked about them in the past on the channel. The God of War game that got canceled. Early in 2025, a report came out that Sony scrapped a live service God of War title that was being developed by Blue Point Games. Yeah, Blue Point. A studio that is known for making the remakes like Demon Souls, had apparently been secretly working on a God of War project since 2022. It wasn't the traditional single player. According to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, who's a very trusted source, it was a multiplayer or live service concept, something very different for God of War, and Sony decided to can it. Now, we don't know much about what it could have been. Maybe a co-op mode, maybe I don't know, maybe it was an Atreus-led online adventure, who knows? But the key takeaway is that Sony carefully deciding what the right next God of War experience should be, and I like that. They're not going to throw anything out with the God of War name. That's good. I mean, that is really good, especially when you hear the 2 words live service. I mean, if you're like me, you immediately kind of stiffen up and get a little worried. All that context sets up why people need news. We have a beloved series with a wide open future and a developer who is really good and known for taking their time and making quality things. And we have a few breadcrumbs hinting at where Kratos might go. So let's talk about it. This is the core of it. What do we actually know? Or what do we credibly believe about the next God of War? We're going to start with the setting, of course. That's everybody started with the setting. That's the rumor that makes the rounds. Multiple independent reports suggested that Kratos' next adventure will take place in Egyptian mythology. That isn't just baseless forum talk. It comes from known industry insiders. One report originally from leaker Daniel RPK, which he shared on his Patreon, claimed that Sony had been casting Middle Eastern actors for an unannounced AAA game, likely the next God of War being set in Egypt. Essentially, the idea is that Santa Monica Studios looking for talent that would fit an ancient Egyptian setting. Now, to be clear, Santa Monica hasn't confirmed any of that, and even the insider sources couch it as unconfirmed. Insider Gaming also reported on that leak and explicitly told fans, take it with a grain of salt. But it does line up with other hints we've heard. Another well-known insider, and probably my favorite insider, Tom Henderson, added fuel to the fire. In mid-2025, Henderson talked about the next mainline God of War and dropped a very specific detail. Kratos might have a new weapon, a curved Egyptian sword, basically a Khopesh. Hope I said that right, in the next game. This came out of a discussion where Henderson mentioned that Santa Monica has two God of War projects in development. One is a new mainline installment, and the other is a smaller Metroidvania-style game. I'm going to get to that second project here in a minute, but we're focusing on the main game at the moment, and Henderson believes, and I quote, Kratos this time has like an Egyptian sword, like the curved Egyptian sword. Now, if you know your ancient weapons, that describes that Khopesh. In fact, even the writer at Vice who covered the rumor had to Google it and confirmed it. A signature blade from Egyptian lore. So, there you go, right? Between casting calls and weapon rumors, it looks like we're going to Egypt. Honestly, it's not a shock. God of War team has talked before about exploring Egypt. Corey Barlog, the director of God of War 2018, revealed that Egypt was a strong contender for the reboot setting before they settled on Norse. There was even Easter eggs in God of War 2018 hinting at Egyptian, even Japanese, and Celtic mythologies in the vault. So the seeds, they've been there. They're planted. I mean, moving to a new pantheon makes sense for the franchise's next era. I would like to see multiple pantheons clash myself. But anyway, I mean, the Norse chapter's closed. That's the most popular. That's the most mainstream, right? But who doesn't want to see Kratos versus Anubis? Kratos versus Ra? Yeah. I mean, come on. The Egyptian pantheon is rich with gods and monsters. It could be amazing for foes. It could be amazing for allies. Now, the other God of War project, let's talk about it. We keep hearing whispers about it. Beyond the main sequel, there are persistent rumors that Sony Santa Monica is also working on a smaller scale spin-off, specifically a game that returns Kratos to the Greek era. Now, the reports describe the project as a 2.5D Metroidvania-style game, possibly a prequel or a side story set in Greece. That would be a big departure from the cinematic 3D style of recent entries. It would aim for something more like the classic side-scrolling action adventure. So imagine a mix of old-school God of War with modern Metroidvania level design. I mean, that's interesting. And the rumored protagonist might not be Kratos. It might actually be Deimos, Kratos' brother. Now, if you're not deep in God of War lore, Deimos was a major character in the PSP game God of War Ghost of Sparta. And spoiler alert, 1, 2, 3, he died. So the idea of him having a focused game, it could be a prequel exploring his life or an alternate tale, perhaps before the events of the original God of War. I like it. And it also, they could be testing with this. Hear me out. They could be testing to see if people attach to him as the brother of Kratos. And if they do, okay, we'll start his entire storyline. They'll retcon that he doesn't die or he comes back somehow. But then imagine him in like God of War Ragnarok type games. I'm telling you, they always have a plan. Now, the Greek spinoff hasn't been officially announced, but insiders were very specific. They even predicted that it would be revealed in late 2025, which didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Everything gets bumped. I mean, Grubb's report from June 2025 said it was aimed for late 2025, but now the timetable has slipped. That doesn't mean it's not happening. So we'll call it confirmed-ish, right? There's credible insiders that are talking about it. And of course, everybody says the main game is going to go to Egyptian mythology. There's one more thing I want to note here. With all the projects rumored, what about the God of War trilogy remaster or remake? There's rumors floating around that Sony might actually remaster the original Greek saga 1 through 3 for modern consoles, possibly as some type of celebration. But they shot down the idea of any anniversary announcement, didn't confirm those remaster rumors at all. I mean, some insiders say the studio's denial was not a flat-out no, it will never happen, just that nothing was ready to show. So maybe that one's still on the table, which would be exciting. Now, the fun part of the video. We've got the leaks and updates out of the way, a lot of stuff in the air, but let's kind of get going here, right? Another big unknown is when we'll even hear about the projects officially. Sony's quiet. They've been quiet for a long time. We don't even know the direction of the story. Yeah, Egypt is the rumored backdrop, but how Kratos ends up in Egypt? What's he doing there? It's all speculation. I mean, Ragnarok left Kratos in Scandinavia, and that's beloved by the Norse people after defeating Odin. I mean, is he going to just pack up and sail to the Nile on a whim? I don't think so. There has to be a narrative reason. Maybe something or someone calls him there. But as of now, we have zero plot details confirmed. No title, no synopsis, nothing official about villains or allies. Even the protagonist for the next main game, we assume it's Kratos. Come on, it's hard to imagine without him, but could we get Mr. Loki as the new lead? And I know my comments pop off on that. Half of you like it, half of you don't. I mean, Atreus' role is unknown. Will he show up in the next game at all? He's off on his own journey at the end of Ragnarok, and it's conceivable the next saga might focus on Kratos solo or with new companions, or maybe Atreus returns midway through the story if circumstances demand it. But we don't know. If the spinoff rumors are true, well, I mean, Deimos game connects story-wise somehow to canon. There's a lot of questions here, right? What we do know is that it's coming, and it will certainly be on the PlayStation 5. Probably arrive around 2027 or 2028. Maybe it could target the PlayStation 6 as a launch title too. It's not crazy to think. With all the new hardware, imagine how this is going to look. The last thing, the scope of the game. Will God of War be another single-player only narrative adventure, or could it have co-op? Could it be something bigger? Could it be more open world? The canceled Blue Point project shows Sony did consider other approaches. Could they introduce new RPG elements, different realm travel mechanics, maybe sailing the seas, traversing deserts in Egypt? Everything at this moment is on the table. Now, I want to get wild with you guys for a sec. If the next game is indeed in Egypt, I have a few thoughts on how Kratos might actually end up there. Here's my scenario. Atreus. Even though Atreus, or Loki, went off on his own, he could be the catalyst for Kratos traveling to a new land. Perhaps his journey to find remnants of the giants leads him to Egypt. Maybe some giants fled to hide in other mythologies. I don't know. And he discovers a threat or mystery that he can't handle alone. He's in trouble. What's a retired god killer dad to do but come suit up and help his kid, right? I mean, the Vice article author mused something similar. The easiest way to get Kratos out of his peaceful retirement is to put his kid in danger or trouble. That would motivate Kratos to cross half the world. Alternatively, might not be Atreus specifically. Maybe the Norse god of war, who was a traveler of pantheons, gives Kratos a tip about troubles in the land of Egypt. I remember, the whole thing was visiting other cultures, right? There's one more angle for you. Kratos' own growth and the prophecy of being a god of hope. At the end of Ragnarok, Kratos sees a mural that suggests people will worship him for once and not fear him. That indicates his destiny is to become a more benevolent deity, right? Now, what if he takes that as a new purpose to help where gods are being tyrannical? The Egyptian gods in myth could be pretty rough. Maybe in the God of War universe, they're oppressing mortals similar to how the Norse gods were. So Kratos, he catches wind of that. He says, you know what? It's time to go clean house in the Egyptian pantheon. And then as for the Egyptian pantheon, who would be there? Well, we know Anubis, guardian of the dead, Ra, the sun god, Set, Horus. There is a ton of them that they could actually pull out and use. Some good, some bad. So yeah, there's a lot of good things to talk about when it comes to God of War. And if this 2.5D Metroidvania of God of War comes and we get to play as Kratos' brother, I think that's going to be just something cool that they're really hoping opens the door to a whole nother path for mainline God of War games. Eventually, you have to retire Kratos, right? You guys see Kratos in 2040, 2050? It's the same thing with Master Chief. You're stuck. You pigeonholed. You're backed into a corner. You can't really have a God of War without Kratos right now. You can't have a Halo without Master Chief. So what do you do? Well, maybe if you get his brother, get going, people like him, that would definitely help. All right, guys, that's all I've got. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted if anything new happens. The next era of God of War is coming. Kratos' story is far from over. We're going to a new chapter. It's going to be interesting. I'll see you guys soon.